Yes, here we come. After learning how to create a polyline, now we will be doing some modification tools like the moving objects and the copying objects and so on. So there are a lot of modification tools are there in AutoCAD. So let's switch to first modification tool that is oftenly used. We use it many a times, which is a moved sketch object. So here we can basically invoke this from the home tab, that is the modified panel. We can have the move tool. Now you can see the icon of the move tool is with this arrow mark. So this is the conventional symbol for the move tool. So command is M or move, or you can from the toolbar also you can basically select the move tool. Now here you can see that there is something called illustration of a move object. So here we have a simple geometry which is before movement it is there. So when we select so to move an object we have to pick it from a point. So that point from where you pick the object to move is called the base point. So we have to first what AutoCAD will ask you to select a base point, pick a base point. So we can pick any of the corner point as a base point, or a center can be a base point, or any reference can be a base point from where you are picking the object and moving to a location where you want. For example, this is a base point where the object is selected, the entire object is selected, and then from here we pick that object and move it to this point, which is the second point of displacement. Let's do it in the AutoCAD application. So now let's say I have an object. Let's say sketch it for your reference. So let me sketch it by the coordinate system, right? Because that you understand better. So let's say I have a line object. I started from 1, 1, and let's say I take at the rate 3, 0 and at the rate 0, 3, and then I take the at the rate next point as at the rate -3, 0, and then we have enter, and then we close it. Now this is a closed geometry, which is the first point is the 1, 1. Now let's say I want to move this particular geometry from 1, 1 from this point at a distance of 5 units from this point in the x-axis and 0 in the y. So what I do, so I invoke the move tool from the modified panel. So here is the modified panel, and here is the move tool. So you can identify the arrows. Here it is. So you can click on it and you can see. So here is a move tool. So if you click move, the command is activated. It talks about select object. So here, because these are all individual lines, you can take a window selection and select the object. So you can press enter at this moment. Now it talks about after you press enter, it will ask you, one of the option is the base point. So as I told you, a base point is the point from where you pick up the object. But in this case, once you get, there is an object snap, that is snapping is over there. So we will learn about object snapping, but you can just click on the point in the object snap and you can click the base point. But here for the reference, we have the point as 1, 1. So you can always mention it by the absolute coordinate system. So the base point is 1, 1, and I want to move. Now, the moment you click on it, you can see that, this object has started moving. Now it will ask you specify second point of displacement where you want to move. You can either click on it. So let's say I put the ortho off. We'll see what is ortho and off. So you can click randomly click and move the object, or you can give the coordinate systems from here. So I say that I want to move this object with the base point of 1, 1 at the rate from that particular point. I want to move 5 in the direction of x and 0 in the direction of y. The object is moved, at a distance of 5 units from the base point you selected in the x-axis and 0 in y. Further, you want to move it back there from where you have taken it. So you can click on it and you can say, okay, now select object you said, and the base point is 1, 1, and you can take back there. So you say at the rate second point of displacement. So you can always see that at minus 5 comma 0. So it comes back to the original point. So this is how you can move. So if you want to move it up in the y-axis, so you can say move, you can say base point. So you can either click it by the object snapping, because you haven't learned yet. I would suggest right now not to click on this. Just put 1 comma 1, because you know the coordinate of the base point. So you click on it and you say, okay, you want to move in the y direction. So you in this direction, say 5 units in the y direction, 0 in x. So you get 0 comma 5. So you move it in the y direction. Similarly, you want to move it in the negative x direction. So select the object with the window selection method. So you can say 1 comma 1, and you can go at the rate one time minus 5 comma 0. So this is how you basically move an object with the displacement method. That in first point is the base point, second point is the point where you want to move it, right? And then here it comes another tool. So if you click on this move tool, so you find something called displacement option. Now here it is very interesting. Displacement is displacement from the point that you have created. For example, this is a point. So if I say now, let's say D for displacement I want to use, and I say displacement is 1 comma 1. So you can see that it has just moved from its original location in the direction of x-axis in 1, in the direction of y-axis 1. So if I say move, and I want to simply do a displacement of 5 units in x and 0 in y. So I say displacement. So here I go for 5 comma 0. So simply it will move 5 units, displaced 5 units from the initial location to, there is no base point. So it is just displacing 5 units in x and 0 in y. Similarly, you want to displace it in the y direction. So you say displacement, and you need not have to take any base point. So you say you want to move 0 in x and 5 in y. So it is moving. So it is a displacement option. So it is very easy. Suppose you know that you have to move in a particular direction, just give the displacement option what in x and what in y. So here I think I have covered the how to move. So if you want to randomly move, or you want to select any of the base point by snapping, so you can click it and put it somewhere here. Let's say if you want to there is a rectangle over here, so we do random movement like in normal drafting, speed drafting. We select an object, select a point, and just put it there here. So these are certain random tools. So if you want to move it and move it here, so here you need not have to specify the points where you want to move it. I mean by the coordinates, just randomly you can move it and place it anywhere you want to. So I select it again. So I'm showing you what is a quick drafting method. So here we take the help of the snapping tools, right? So object snapping tools. So here I go and then I click here. So let's say I select this object itself with the window selection method. I click it and move it here, right? So this is how we can do some random movement of the objects we select. And then I have talked about the selection method, right? There is a window selection method. There is a crossing selection method. So you know, let me again revise again. So when you select an object with the crossing selection method, if it touches the object partially, also the object is selected. But in case of window selection, if it touches partially, it will not be selected. It has to be fully inside the box. So here it comes. So I'm moving it and just putting above this at this point. So I hope I have been able to explain you regarding the move tool. So with the move tool, in fact, there is another tool which is a copy tool. That's a very interesting tool, and we use it for drafting very frequently. So again, just to brief you before going move to the copy tool, let's talk about the command. So M is the command. So M is the alias or the shortcut for move tool. Select the object, move it, and you can move it anywhere, or you can take it from the modify menu. Here you have, and here is the move. Similarly, you can do a move from the modify menu or from the toolbar. Now you cannot finding this a draw toolbar. So I said that you want to invoke the toolbar dash toolbar. Write it over here. and you write modify. So you get the modify toolbar. Press enter again because it shows show as show. So the modify toolbar is there. So you can place this modify toolbar. So these toolbars are not mostly used right now because it's an older UI for AutoCAD. Generally, we use it by the commands or by the ribbons. So, okay. So now here we have the move tool, and here we can move. Now you can see that below with the move tool, there's a copy tool over here. Here we have the copy tool over here. Now you can see there are copy tool over here. So then we have the copy tool here also. So with move, there is a copy tool over here. So what is a copy tool is basically replicating the object, right? Copying an object here. So once we have, let's say you have a copy for, you can take the copy tool from here, from the modify also, or from the modify menu, or you can go it from the right. So from the modify menu, you can take the copy tool, or from the modify panel, you can take the copy tool. So I take a copy tool. Similarly, select object, right? And then you have the base point, displacement, and everything. Let's see that in the presentation how the copy tool works. So copying selected object, as I mentioned. So here you have the base point, and then you can copy the object where you want to go. So then here we have different options. You can create multiple copy, create a single copy, create an array of selected objects. So here you have a rectangle that we have created. So I go with the copy, select the object. Now I can take I don't know the coordinates of this point, so I can take the base point randomly if my object snap is on. So I have to make sure that my object snap is on. I'll tell you how the object snap will be on in the next session. So here we have. So let's take the base point over here. So here, then we have the second point. So if I want to copy it in the x-axis 10 units from here, so I can say at the rate, let's say 10, 0. So here we are. So here another copy. So you can see that you never have to invoke the multiple tool. You want to copy it at the top of it. So you can say at the rate 0, let's say 5 units. So if we want to copy in the negative in the x direction, so you can say, okay, at the rate 0, minus 5, 0. So this is how you are copying an object randomly and doing a multiple copy. So in AutoCAD 2019, a tool called array has been introduced, or it was there in the previous version also. So now what does it do? Let's suppose I create a rectangle. Let's say first of all with 1, 1, because let's precise the base point, and let's say 10, 20 is the rectangle. So the bigger one, bigger size rectangle. I want to copy this, right? It can be column, or it can be a wall section. It can be anything in the geometry. So we'll be doing the application part later on once we finish up with the command. So I will teach you some of the application in civil engineering, like a plan, elevation, or drafting some civil engineering components like foundations and other things. So we'll do it later on. But first of all, we need to learn the commands. It's very, very important to understand each and everything inside a command that AutoCAD has, so that we are able to use it in the application later on, right? So let's come with the copy tool. So once we have this copy tool, so you can take these points also. You can click it. There are a lot of object snapping point over here, but let's not worry about it right now. Let's say I can put it here like 1, 1, because I know the base point is 1, 1. Now here we have this first point of displacement, same thing, like let's say if I have this, if I say first point of displacement, so what will happen, it will create a copy at a particular distance as it is from the origin. Let's say this point is at a distance of 1, 1 from here. Similarly, this point will be at a distance from 1, 1 from the previous point. So if I say that, the first point of displacement means if I use the copy option, and let's say I take a displacement, over here I go for the copy option, and I click on it, and base point I click over here. And if I use the first point of displacement, that means to use the first point of displacement, you need to press enter. So you can see that the copy will be there at a distance at which this point is from the origin. So this point has a particular distance. The same distance will be maintained over here. Similarly, when I copy this object, it will be copied at a distance at it is at from the origin. That means from the x and the y, same distance it will be copied. So this is the first point of displacement. The object to be copied is this, and I do copy it, and base point I click over here. So the distance that it is having from the origin will be will be analyzed by AutoCAD, and then same distance will be used as copying the object, right? We're using the first point of displacement. So it has been used a lot of time in some application. We can use it sometime, right? So let's not worry about it at this moment. So let's come to the rectangle. I create another rectangle 1, 1, and at the rate, let's say 10, 5. So I have this rectangle. Now let's do another options here. So what is another option? So I go to the copy option, right? So I can take the copy option from the toolbar, select the object. Now, so we have got two modes. The mode is single and multiple. Means you can basically copy it single time, make it multiple. So select an object, change the mode, make it multiple. So you are now into a multiple. So there are two modes of creating a copy command, but the single and one is the multiple. Now coming back to copy, now there is an option called displacement option. So say displacement option is, so it will move at a distance, like from this point, whatever you. So you want to copy at a distance of 3 unit in x and 0 in y from the object. So it will be copied like this. It is same as in move object, right? So it is 3 in x and 0 in y. So let's undo it. So I want to have 3 in x and 3 in y. So I copy it, and I go for a displacement option. So I say 3 in x and 3 in y. So you can see that, it's 3 from this object is displaced 3 units in x and 3 units in y. So this is a displacement option. And the most interesting part right now comes here. So let's have a rectangle, let's say for, I created 1, 1 at the rate 2, 2. So I want to copy it and use an array tool over here. So array is a multiple copy that is happening in a particular fashion, right? So it's very interesting to see. So let's, for illustration, we will be doing certain things, but let's do not worry about it. So we go with the copy command. So I go here, copy, and I take a base point, and here we have an array option. Now, what array is, now number of items to copy means that you need to have the number of items that you want to copy, because in the previous there was no option of entering the number of copies. So here you can have the number of items. Let's say I want 5, right? Now it says that, okay, now give the second point of displacement, and it will be uniformly copied in that particular fashion. So you can see that wherever I put the second point of displacement, it is uniformly getting copied. Let's say I say at the rate, the second point of displacement here is at the rate 3, 0. So now you can see that this object is copied at 3, 0, and uniformly it is copied, and the number of item is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's say I want to have 6 items. So let's again go for a copy option, and let's say I go for a base point here and array, and let's say number of items is, let's say not 6, I'll take a bigger number, and the second point of displacement is 3, 0. So I have a distance of 1 unit. So now in the y-axis I want to go, so I say I again go for an array option. I have to take an option again, array, and let's say I need 10 items here. So I say at the rate 0, 3 is the distance, and here I go. So this is the beautiful tool that we can use for arraying object, copying object in a particular direction, right? So let's see the illustration that we have. So here we have this one. So array, so this is a base point, and the cursor location goes, right? Let me take you to the last option of the array tool itself. So let me undo it. U is for undo. So let's say I have a line which I draw it from 1, 1, and let's say it is 20, 0. So I know the length of this line is 20 units from here, and the rectangle is situated at the start point of the line. Now, so I go for a copy option. Now, what I'm doing, see, watch me very closely. So I am having a base point over here. I am having an array, and I say that I need, let's say 7 items, right? And I am using a fit option, and I'm fitting it at this particular point, right? So from this start point, I'm fitting that the last array item should come till this point. So I'm not giving any distance over here, so I'm fitting it in the line. Similarly, if I have a line which is in the y-axis, let's say 20 units comma 0, so I'm putting it in the x-axis. So let me put it from here. So at the rate 0 comma 20, right? So if I am copying it and I'm going for an array, so now see what happens. Put the array option, and the number of items you keep it as 8, right? And you fit it here, right? So go for a fit option. Now you can see that the objects will be fit away. And let's say if you have a line at the rate, let's say if you create another line to get a reference of it, 20 angle 45. Now you can see that you go with the copy option, and here you go and save the base point, go for an array, and number of item is 6, and let's say you want to fit it, understand? So it fits like this. Beautiful arrangement. Then you can delete these lines. When these lines are reference lines are not required, you can delete this. So the objects will be created in regular fashion like this. Hope you have found it interesting. We will be doing an array tool later on, but this is a very beautiful option that I like the most in the AutoCAD copy tool, right? Now comes the another option called offset option, because this is something that I use a lot of time while drafting civil drawing or a layout or a site layout or a architectural plan, right? So I use offset regularly to teach you how to create use offset tools. So offset means creating. Now you can see that there is a circle and there are concentric circles over here. So you're offsetting the circles inside and outside. There's a line you're offsetting, there's an arc you're offsetting, right? So there is another line offsetting. So there are a series of objects that you are offsetting. So let's see how the offset tool works, and we will be using this frequently in our drawings. Frequently means most of the time we'll be using it, while we are doing insert drawing. So you learn with me to create a lot of good things, right? And in this journey of class for civil drafting, we'll learn a lot of things. Okay. So now let me erase this object and take you to the offset tool. So let's say I create a circle. Don't worry about the radius. So how do you create a circle? You remember? So you take a C command, you can create a circle, create a rectangle, create a line, right? Create a polyline, create all the objects that you have learned right now. Okay? You can create later on you can create an ellipse or whatever it is. Let's now see what offset is.